consolation prize or a consolation. Well, since I'm gonna do this, I might as well. That's not why you sign a birth certificate.
I didn't know I couldn't take my name back off of it. I wasn't aware of that. Or else I wouldn't have signed it.
Because you said you had sex over the course of a few months. If you had sex over the course of a few months and somewhere about 10 months later, she says she's pregnant, that seems to be the window of time that the baby would be conceived.
I am not the father.
How do you cheat on your partner on Valentine's Day? Yeah, you heard it right. This young couple appears before Judge Lauren today to confirm the paternity of their child. Regardless of the outcome of the DNA test, the couple already agreed on going on a divorce. It's just another drama day on paternity court.
Mr. Fetters, you say you're in the midst of a divorce because your soon-to-be ex-wife is a serial adulterer who even cheated on you on Valentine's Day, which you believe resulted in the birth of her 9-month-old son, Corbin.
The tricky question is this: who cheated on who? Ms. Fetters certainly thinks her husband isn't fit to be called a irresponsible husband, and neither does she think he's a responsible father. However, she affirms that he's her child's biological father, even though she did some things she isn't proud of. While the situation appears to be foggy, one thing is certain: we're in for a long court drama today.
Ms. Fetters, you say your husband is an irresponsible crybaby who can't keep a job, stay faithful, or please a woman.
Yes,
While you admit to making some mistake, you say Mr. Fetters is undoubtedly Corbin's biological father.
Now you would think, why would Mr. Fetters believe his wife is a serial cheater? He sure does have his reasons, and learning these reasons will have you blown away. But something doesn't add up in his testimony. If she did what he said she did, why did he marry her afterwards? Well, it's either he's lying or he's just a sucker for love.
It all began when we first met at a water bowl. I thought I'd met her at love at first sight. Up until the 6-month mark, she had informed me that she had actually slept with my family member.
Oh, 6 months into your relationship, your girlfriend sleeps with your family member.
In her defense, Ms. Fetters gives the court reasons to believe her husband's testimonies about her aren't entirely true. But here comes the crazy part. She admits to cheating on him with someone else, but claims she told him about it when it happened. Whoa, how crazy is that?
Did you sleep with the family member?
No, I did not. The family member and himself lack in a department, so I did not finish the duty. Nothing happened.
Oh.
He just thinks something happens. He has no hard facts or information, and when I do sleep with someone else, I tell him the truth.
Apparently, Ms. Fetters actually requested for a divorce after the child was born, and that prompted Mr. Fetters to try to find out why she made that decision. Her reasons will leave your jaws dropped. She believes he lacks in a department that's very, very important to her. Now, what department is that? Want to take a wild guess?
Come as when he was conceived, I had to pry the information as to why she was wanting to leave me in the first place, and come to find out she had actually slept her ex-husband, Justin. And this was the day before Valentine's at midnight. We went to go see 50 Shades of Grey. So we had a wonderful night.
This revelation has Judge Lauren stuttering as she tries to understand what was being said. As it turns out, after a romantic late-night movie date with her husband, Ms. Fetters went out that same night to have sex with her ex-husband. You've seen many flabbergasting soap operas, but I bet you haven't seen one like this before.
I'm going to be with my ex-husband.
No.
That is what I said. And he knows.
Before you left?
Before I left.
She did not, Your Honor.
So wait, you go to the movies and have a good date night, and by the end, you're in the bed with your ex-husband?
Yeah, he didn't want to be sexually active with me. So,
disputing his soon-to-be ex-wife's claims about his infidelity, Mr. Fetters claims he has always been faithful to her from the onset. Why did Ms. Fetters make such claims about her husband if she doesn't have substantial proof to validate her claims? Perhaps she's trying to win the court over to justify her disgusting character. Well, whether or not he did, the result of the DNA test won't mend their broken marriage.
You have sex with other women, but you won't have sex with your wife?
She has no factual proof. I've never slept with any other women outside of our relationship.
When did she come back?
She contacted me at 7:30 in the morning to let me know where she was at. So I came there with our 2 children at the time, and she had told me that she didn't want to be with me.
The funny thing is this: the defendant made some ridiculous claims about the sexual intercourse she had with her ex-husband, but yet she believes Mr. Fetters is the child's biological father. But how could he continue to love her after finding out she cheated on him the way she did?
then I spent the night with him.
Was it protected sex?
Nope.
He actually didn't completely finish.
Okay, so he did not
yes.
finish the act.
Correct.
And you admitted this to your husband?
Correct. And he knew. And then shortly after, yes, I got pregnant.
You haven't heard it all. Here comes the tricky part, the window of conception. Unlike the 50 Shades of Grey the couple went to see on their movie date, this story is 50 Shades of Messy.
Soon after this incident, did you find out you were pregnant?
I found out, I would say, just like maybe a month later, month and a half, I found out. And the conception date was between February 11th to February 14th. They gave me that window.
So that's right there.
To solidify her claims, Ms. Fetters says something really interesting about the man she slept with. But regardless of her claims, the fact remains, she had unprotected sex with her ex-husband. Then, hours later, she was with Mr. Fetters. As a result, her child has 2 potential biological fathers.
Us to do the same
My
thing.
marriage with him ended because he can't have children. A doctor told him his sperm count is too low to conceive.
So did the doctor tell him he can't have it?
Yes, it's a very low chance that he can have any children.
Do you have
That's why I wanted
Very
to start
low is different than can.
At this point, I think we've had enough of Mr. and Ms. Fetters taking a swipe at each other. It's high time we heard the DNA test result. Regardless of the test result, it's safe to note that this couple are never coming back together. I say this because the drama in their relationship is way too much.
Biological father is Mr. Fetters.
How would you feel if the woman of your dreams puts you through your worst nightmare? That's the case of Mr. Baker as he stands before Judge Lauren today with his sugar mama. And as usual, it's a paternity case. What's more is that it involves 2 best friends.
Mr. Baker, you claim you love older women. Now, you say when you met Miss Woods, you thought you had found the woman of your dreams and were thrilled to find out you were having your first child with her. But you say those dreams were shattered when you discovered she had sex with your best friend and he could be the biological father.
Although he's head over heels in love with Ms. Woods, Mr. Baker claims his doubts about fathering her child started after a phone call. Now, what was this phone call about that it changed the way he saw his sweetheart? Interestingly, Ms. Woods didn't deny the accusations after he told her what he heard.
Be serious about it. 8 months into the pregnancy, I get a phone call from my. She said she got something to tell me, but she didn't know how to tell me because it was gonna hurt my feelings. I'm like, go ahead, just tell me what's good. Guess what she tell me?
What?
She had a conversation with Jimmy, and that Jimmy admitted to her that she slept with Janine.
Mr. Dudley.
Yes. Not only that,
Like we've heard several times in the past, the defendant blames the alcohol for sleeping with her boyfriend's best friend. Well, that's old news. What's more crazy is the number of kids she had before having the child in question. To think that he still fell for her enough to have a serious relationship is a testament to the saying that love is blind.
I'm blaming it on the alcohol.
You're not the first in this courtroom.
Y'all don't understand that, but the thing of it is we had a little too much to drink, and everything is about being at my house, throwing parties, inviting everybody over to my house. My house is what we call the party spot. And all this took place after
Apparently, what became a romantic relationship was meant to be a one-night stand. Mr. Baker had a bite of the cookie and decided to make it his best food. But in the end, it seems he had food poison, if you know what I mean. According to him, this isn't his first time being in such a situation, so that explains why he wants to be sure about the child's paternity.
cougar looking for a tiger, okay? I started off, I went out, me and my friends, they came pick me up. We went over to a club, out in Atlanta, a nice nightclub,
life
whatever.
of the party.
Yes, and well, he kept buying me drinks all night. You already know what happened from there, Yana. I don't have to go no farther.
I ain't gonna lie, I thought it was gonna be a one night.
Here comes the real drama. Ms. Woods raises an argument about Mr. Baker not showing up for the child's birth. Well, how do you expect him to show up with all the doubts in the air? What makes the situation even more complicated is the close proximity of when both men slept with Ms. Life of the Party.
And went with me to the hospital for 9 months. This man showed up, went with me to the hospital, okay? A week before it was time to give birth to Trinity, this man did not show up in the hospital.
Of course not.
Look at this here. He's not on a birth certificate, okay?
Exactly. Why would I sign my name when I don't even know?
Let me get this.
Another thing that fuels the plaintiff's doubt about the child's paternity is the defendant's behavioral pattern. But in her defense, Ms. Woods claims Mr. Baker knew her way of life before he got into a relationship with her. So I guess all the blame shouldn't be placed on her. But yet, to make their relationship work, she should have done away with attitudes that would make him doubt her commitment to him.
Not only that, the behavioral pattern that she in the club dancing with dudes and leaving with dudes. I don't know what's going on.
So you're suggesting that it may be even more people
I'm not-
involved than Mr. Dudley?
Your Honor,
It
this
could
man
be.
met me like that.
I'm
I was
just
a
saying,
party
it could
animal
be.
before this man got with me. You understand?
At this point, the court needs to hear from the supposed ex-best friend, Mr. Dudley. You wouldn't believe his reasons for sleeping with his best friend's girl. Believe me, his reasons will leave your mouth wide open.
She who she is.
Oh, wait a minute. So what
What
you're
I was the
saying
other
is
night.
you did this purposefully so you
trying to
could
come
expose
around
the
Not-
fact that she would
kinda-
sleep
kinda
around?
sort of, but I didn't want to. It wasn't like that. It was just like it kind of happened, but I really wanted to expose it, pretty much. So yes, she needs to be exposed.
Come on, Mr. Dudley. This man slept with his best friend's woman, claiming he did it to prove a point. Well, how come you never call your friend to state your supposed claims after the deed had been done? Can someone smell foul play?
You know what I'm saying? I was
When?
gonna tell him. If the news just got out there before I could really go and tell him. You know what I'm saying? His cousin done ran out for a mouth and go to popping and, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
A week
telling
before I
everything
had
before I
training,
really
though.
could
A
get
week
to
before I
him.
had
And he was so into this chick, I was like, man, I'm gonna let him have that. You know
He's
what I'm saying?
supposed to be.
I'm just gonna let him have it. You know, whatever happened, that's why we here today.
So
we can get this
now, but now Trinity's here.
In the midst of all the drama, it is obvious that Ms. Woods wants the plaintiff to be her baby's father. But hey, once bitten, twice shy. Mr. Baker has every right to doubt the child's paternity because this situation is similar to the bullets he dodged in the past.
In your heart of hearts, who do you believe is Trinity's father?
Not who you want, who do you believe?
I believe he's the father, Your Honor.
Okay.
My baby.
And Mr. Baker, as you stand here in this moment, do you feel in your heart that you're her dad?
Like I stated to you previously, I done went through 2 other experiences.
Having heard enough from all parties involved, we need to hear Judge Lauren read out the test results. But who actually is the baby's biological father? One thing is certain though, whoever happens to be her father amongst the 2 men would want nothing to do with Ms. Woods.
You are not her father. 2-year-old Trinity Woods, Mr. Baker, you are not her father.
Today in court, a young woman is caught in 2 minds. How come you said he wasn't the father of your child before, but now you're saying he is the child's father? Perhaps Ms. Antwine had an alternative baby father besides Mr. Kirk, and things didn't work out how she planned. Whatever the case might be, we would find out who the child's biological father is in due course.
Mr. Kirk,
Yes,
you
Your Honor.
claim you had a fling with Ms. Antwine.
Correct.
And when you confronted her about her pregnancy, you say she told you that you were not the father of her baby.
That is the truth, Your Honor.
Now you say she's changed her tune.
Yes.
Mr. Kirk claims he had no idea the defendant was pregnant after their fling. And with that in mind, he went ahead pursuing his dreams and got married to another woman. Besides that, he heard rumors that Ms. Antwine was sleeping with other men, including his family member, and that increased his doubts that the child in question could be his. Now, what do we have here?
Well, when I confronted her, Your Honor, she told me that there was no possibility that she was pregnant, or if she was, that the baby would even be mine. So of course I believed it, going off to college to go on and do my other thing. Plus, at the same time, I heard rumors about her, possibly sleeping around with my neighbor, probably even getting with my brother.
Here is the thing. There's a misunderstanding between the plaintiff and the defendant about how serious their relationship was. Mr. Kirk believes what they had was a fling, but Ms. Antwine thinks otherwise. According to her, it was a committed relationship. Fling or not, as long as they had unprotected sex, even if it was just once, there's a great chance that he could be the child's father.
Me and him started talking. He stated to me that supposedly that we were just flinging around. Now,
Yes, Your Honor.
from what I was told, I told him straight up, I don't know about this whole fling thing. From what we built,
Your Honor, that's a
we
lie.
were messing around like every day, 24/7, every night.
Oh, you haven't heard it all. Because Mr. Kirk didn't feel committed to the relationship besides the pleasure. He slept with someone close to Ms. Antwine. Whoa, that's crazy. And as you would expect, she moved on with someone else after she found out about the plaintiff's cheating habits. But how can we tell who's lying from who's telling the truth? Because right now, it's just her words against his.
Basically, Your Honor, slept with my best friend, one of my friends, that I went to her house and talked to every day. Yes, Your Honor, he did that.
And he's acknowledging, yes, he did that.
Yeah, he
Yes,
did that.
I admit I did it.
Ms. Antoine, you felt like you all were together so much there was no time to...
Now, here comes the bombshell. Mr. Kirk makes some claims that cements his doubts about fathering Ms. Antoine's son. He claims his medical condition makes it impossible for him to father a child. Come on, Mr. So you mean to tell us that your medical condition gave you license to sleep with her without protection, without thinking it could lead to a baby?
Yeah, I mean, I had that doubt, that he wasn't mine, because she told me that he wasn't. I believe that I was sterile. I tried to have, a child with my ex-girlfriend before her for like 6 months, and it never just happened, so I thought that I couldn't even have no kids.
If the plaintiff indeed has the medical condition he claims to have, then he shouldn't be able to father a child, right? But here is something funny. He says something that contradicts his initial claim. At this point, the odds are shifting to the defendant's favor. But yet, we can't jump into the conclusion that the child is his, because there are other factors to consider.
Have children with your current
Yes,
wife.
I have children with my current wife.
So
and
once
stuff
you
like
realized you weren't sterile, did you dip back and contact Miss Antoine and say,
Well-
hey, guess what? I'm not sterile and Carmelo might be my child.
I didn't do it like that. My mom ended up telling me, look on Facebook.
Another thing is this. The defendant and the plaintiff never saw eye to eye or had a real discussion after she had the baby. And now, one person is blaming the other person for not trying. Well, I think both sides should take the blame here, because they should have considered that there's a baby involved and try to make things work regardless of how their relationship went.
Never met Carmelo.
No.
If she would have came with me
And I
straight
told
from the
him
jump,
before,
like,
I
Eric,
told him
this
before
baby
that.
might be yours, then I would have stayed
told
out
him
there in
before
Dallas
that,
and I would have
before he
took
went
care
and
of her
started a family.
and the child.
As soon as you left, what did you do? Find another woman. Quick, fast, in a hurry. Didn't even worry about it.
Apparently, even though Mr. Kirk is happily married to another woman, he clearly hasn't left his past life. I'm talking about his playboy lifestyle of wanting to be with other women when he has one already. Well, that's what Ms. Antoine's claims suggest. And guess what? He couldn't disagree with her on that one.
Potential, all I see is a big lie.
All right,
it.
yeah.
That's all I see.
You see is just
'Cause
the
evidently
past. That's all you see.
So-
no past, because evidently if it was so much potential, you would have the decency and courtesy to still not be trying to talk to me while you have a wife.
To make the drama more interesting, a situation that has never occurred in Judge Lake's courtroom transpired. Or have you ever witnessed a man's potential baby mama defend his wife's rights against him? Yeah, you heard that right. Ms. Antoine is defending Ms. Kirk against her possible baby's father because she feels he's not doing right by his wife. How astonishing is that?
Her about that right now.
Because that's your
Well,
wife.
You know what? No, me and her are going through our problems.
That's your wife. That don't matter.
All right,
That's
yeah,
your
you know what?
wife.
That's
your
my
wife.
wife.
That's
That's
your
my
wife.
wife, all right?
That's
But
your
you know
wife.
what?
Y'all supposed
But
to
you know-
tie vows, be there between thick and thin,
how can I
rough
when
and
she
tough,
won't be there for
whatever it
me?
is.
The craziest part is this. Mr. Kirk wants a polygamous relationship. Well, isn't that illegal in the United States? Can someone tell this man he can only pick one of these women and let the other go?
He wants us together, Your Honor, as like a sister wives thing. He wants us all together as a big happy family.
And he's nodding
He
yes
wants
to that.
everybody together with all the
Look,
kids.
all right,
and
let me explain the
all
reason
of
why I
that.
want this. All right, just imagine it. 3 parents within one household.
There's been non-stop suspense in the drama series presented in court today, but I'm afraid we have to close the curtains at this point. It's time to hear the test results.
Mr. Kirk, you are the father.
Today's court case is a kind you've never witnessed before. How can you be in love with a man who could be your biological brother? Yeah, you heard me loud and clear. That's Ms. MacArthur's story as she appears in court today with Mr. Veals. What makes this case more absurd is that she's pregnant?
Ms. MacArthur, you claim you've recently learned the man you are in love with could possibly be your biological brother.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Veals, you agree that this discovery has turned your lives upside down.
This young couple initially lived in different cities but got together through a mutual friend. Their love story was epic from the beginning until they attended a family reunion. Then everything changed and their world was turned upside down.
We have a mutual friend that he came out to Pennsylvania with from Texas, and me and him started seeing each other on the side. Like, I didn't know anything about him being my brother or anything. Then me and him ended up getting serious, and he ended up moving in with me.
Now, you would be wondering how it's possible to date your sister without even knowing. But Mr. Veals isn't to be blamed for this predicament he and his potential sister are facing. As it turns out, he's been without his father from a very young age. Also, he never had a real connection with his father's family members.
Knew your father?
Last time I seen my father, I was around 4 years old. So I never really had, like, you know what I'm saying, a relationship with him. Like, I never really converse with him like that. Like, he just really wasn't in my life like that, so.
Ms. MacArthur, however, grew up bonding well with her father and his family members. So now we understand why they never crossed paths with each other as kids. On the bright side, it's not certain that the man in question is actually his biological father. And on that note, they are in court today to confirm if they are indeed siblings through a paternity test.
Yes, I did. My mother and my father was married. He was always there with me and my brothers, except for when he was on the road, because he was a truck driver. But I never seen Jeremiah because all of our cousins, like my uncles and my aunts, they would come get us for the summer to go to my grandma and spend time with my grandmother and all the—
But here is the thing. What if they are indeed siblings? What's going to happen to the baby? It's a really tight situation we've got in our hands today. You can only imagine how hurtful it is for both of them as they look to clear up the situation appropriately.
Because I really want to be with him and I want to keep the baby, but I know that it's a possibility that he could be, and if that's the case, I'm going to choose adoption for one of my options.
That's ridiculous. Like, honestly, this whole situation really makes me...
What makes the situation more complicated is Mr. Veal's baby pictures. They fuel Ms. MacArthur's doubts that he could indeed be her biological brother. Well, I hope he isn't, for the baby's sake, and for the sake of the beautiful relationship they've built together, because it's evident that they are genuinely in love with each other.
See, like, his baby pictures, some of them look like my little brother's pictures. And then
like, I really do.
Now the picture of my father, he kind of resembles my father too.
When they arrived at the family reunion, everybody had their eyes on Mr. Veals and Ms. MacArthur. It was evident that something wasn't right. Eventually, a family member approached them and advised them to do the needful because getting too serious with their relationship.
You, Miss MacArthur?
Yes, my auntie, she pulled me to the side. She was just like, I'm not gonna look at you funny because like my mom and my other aunts was there and they was looking at me funny in the face. And she pulled me to the side. She was like, I'm not gonna look at you funny in the face.
After the family reunion, the right thing to do was to stop their romantic relationship till they were sure they aren't siblings. But their feelings for one another was too strong. So they continued discreetly without thinking of what it could lead to.
So did you drop it?
We did for a while, we tried to, but our feelings was too strong for each other.
Like,
we had, when I say a slip up, we had sex 2 more times prior to that, after that.
And now you're
Besides the emotional trauma, if they are really siblings, IT could spell some kind of trouble medically for the baby. The stakes are so high, and the only way to get on top of the situation is to hear the DNA test results. So let's get to it.
You are not brother and sister.
Grab your popcorn and get comfy on your sofa because you're about to watch a jaw-dropping piece of drama. Today's court case is about 2 identical twin brothers and their potential baby mama. Yeah, that's right. One of these men could be the biological father of Ms. Williams' baby. Astonishingly, the defendant believes she only had sex with one of these men. Let's find out how they got here together.
You and your identical twin brother are here today for the results of paternity tests regarding 3-year-old Zaylin Davis. You both claim you had sexual relations with the defendant.
Mr. Brian Wiggins, one of the brothers, claims he doubts if he or his twin are the child's biological father. As it turns out, a get-together with Ms. Williams and some friends led to this situation. But the thing is, they were all too drunk to tell what really happened. And as a result of that, right now, We can't say for sure if a sexual intercourse did occur during the get-together.
Nephew.
I truly don't believe that he's my son, and I truly don't know if he's my nephew or not. So, you know, let me explain to you. We live in Las Vegas, and during the week, the hotel rooms is very cheap. So, you know, I went ahead and booked a room.
Now it's time to hear Mr. Marcus's side of the story, the other brother. But as he begins his testimony, Ms. Williams cuts in, making a strong accusation about Marcus being jealous of his brother. Countering her attack, Marcus reveals a secret that would break her heart.
And then when the night kind of winded down and everybody started passing out, kind of, you know, Cecily was still turned up. So, you know, I seen in my eyes like, okay, she must be the pop-off of the group. So one thing led to another. We ended up in the bathroom and I smashed, took her down, wasn't that hard.
Interestingly, for some reasons, Brian doesn't believe his brother's claims completely. However, he can't vouch for Ms. Williams either. In truth, it's hard to tell who's lying and who's telling the truth between Marcus and the defendant. But one thing is certain. In the end, we will know who's responsible for the baby.
To have a relationship with Ms. Williams?
Well, after that night, when my brother told me, you know, what he did, I wasn't really mad at him. I just didn't really believe him. So
you did?
It was actually two
Hold
occasions.
on. Why didn't you believe your brother when he told you he had
because my brother
sex with
has
her?
Here's the thing. Ms. Williams initially told the court she hardly remembers details of the get-together night. As a result, there's a great chance that she had sex without remembering. Now, that changes the perspective of things somewhat. Surprisingly, the defendant admits something utterly bizarre in her testimony.
Ms. Williams, I have to remind you that in your statement to the court, you said that you really don't remember exactly everything that went down that night, and you possibly could have had sex.
There were other nights that we did do the same things, you know?
Fast forward to when the defendant found out she was pregnant. When she told Mr. Bryan about it, for some reasonable reasons, he didn't believe her. In his mind, he believed she was playing games with him. And also, at that time, he was focused on his other girlfriend because she was pregnant too.
We stopped talking for a few months and I decided to give her a call. I gave her a call. She said, yeah, I'm pregnant. I went to the doctor. I got the paper of the ultrasound and everything. I'm like, okay, go ahead. Meet me at this place. Bring the paper. 'Cause I wanted to see her and I wanted to see the paper.
Here comes the interesting part. After the altercation they had when Ms. Williams told Mr. Bryan about the pregnancy, they lost contact with each other. But fate brought them together again on a bus after the child was born.
Inez, you did not hear from her.
I didn't hear from her. I lost all contact with her.
Ms. Williams, how did you finally tell him about Zaylin?
Well, I actually seen him on a bus, actually when my child was 1. And when I seen him, he asked about him. He was like, did you have the baby? And I said, yes.
Regardless of his doubts, it's clear that there could be a possibility that Mr. Bryan fathered the child. But while that was settling in, his twin brother cuts in with another revelation that changes the dynamics again. What makes the situation more complicated is the name on the baby's birth certificate.
When I start thinking more and then that night start coming back to me, I'm like, hold up. You know, I'm trying to do math, which I'm not good at, but I'm trying to, you know, count it up. I'm like, hold on. You know, it's just not sitting well with me. You know, I'm like, actually, Your Honor, I had sex with Cecily on 2 different occasions. At the hotel room that night.
Ms. Williams made the whole situation awkward from the onset. She's the main reason it's hard to tell who the child's biological father is. Well, that's why they all came to the court for paternity tests. So let's get at it.
It's been determined that one of the Wiggins twins is the father. Now, because identical twins share the exact same DNA, genetically, it is impossible to determine which twin is the biological father without further investigation. As well as the results of the polygraph test, this court has determined that Mr. Brian Wiggins is the biological father.